Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Or, afternoon. It's still morning when I'm recording. Whoops. Welcome to the Chamber of the Wraith. My name is Brian, and today we're going to very quickly, well, it might actually be afternoon by the time I upload it, depending on how certain things go. Anywho, important thing. We just got a slight balance patch today. Stealth dropped earlier this morning for Mortal Kombat 11. Oddly enough, while I was editing a trailer, which probably by the time this gets uploaded, you'll know what it is, but I shan't in case it hasn't properly premiered yet. Now, it has been a while since I've done a proper patch breakdown, and I remember patch breakdowns being quite popular on my channel and with you guys to help understand what's going on. So, I'm going to be going through that right now, starting with D'Vorah. She's the first character to get a specific adjustment. All the general adjustments are moveless corrections, minor issues with several augments, and some visual and audio issues with some brutalities. Nothing to write home about. Howsomever... Strips of Terra. There it is.
Kano.
Let's see. Snakebite and Fake Jam, eh? Do I have those together? I don't think I do. Okay, well, we'll have to balance variations a little bit. But, anywho, the first thing we're going to talk about is the character-specific adjustments noted in this patch notes, which, for D'Vorah, her only change is a mild adjustment to her wasps. If you have the ability to stick wasps onto the opponent and you have Strips of Terra, now what will happen is that sometimes it used to reset the number of wasps currently affecting the opponent if a Strips of Terra connects while the opponent is in the hit reaction to Swarm. So basically if you do this, and then you do that, and then Strips of Terra hits and combos, because it can, it used to reset how many wasps were on the opponent sometimes. Now it doesn't. This is just a slight normalization that ends up being a net positive for D'Vorah, in essence. Next up is Kano, and we're going to start off with his second change, technically, because it is starting with Fig Jam amplified, which is this string here, and we amplify it. One of the nastiest enders in the game, by the way, but this will no longer sometimes use the incorrect blood color against some opponents. So apparently, some opponents would get incorrect blood color. Now they don't anymore. The other change is directly related to, I'm going to go with Rat Bag because I know for sure it has it, with Snakebite. And Snakebite, the first hit is active for one more frame, and the second hit has one less startup frame. It's very slight, you'd hardly notice it, but it just means that Snakebite is very slightly faster now. So it's now now this attack is active for 3 frames instead of 2, and the second little bit should be 19 frames. So it should make comboing into this a little bit easier, just for your combo shenanigans. It's very slight, nothing to write home about. The character that is the most adjusted is Shao Kahn, and thank God, as a Shao Kahn main, they finally changed this. But before I reveal it, I'm also going to doubly reveal what Shao Kahn's change is. Because Shao Kahn got a single change that I'm also very happy to see. And I mentioned it in the Shao Kahn Combat Tweaks video, I believe. Yeah, I did, although I wanted it to be a little bit bigger. Take note of their health values at the top of the screen. You notice something funny about that? Your eyes don't deceive you. Shao Kahn now has 1,050 health, and Shao Kahn now has 1,100 health. Now, Shao Kahn has the most amount of health of any character in the game, which also means he's capable of surviving the one more throw than any other character. Generally speaking, 5 throws is 650, right? And that is generally 2/3 of somebody's health. That's 3 throws, here's 4 throws, and then here's what 5 throws looks like on Shao Kahn. That's 650 damage. as compared to normal characters who would be at 350, almost at Fatal Blow range, and Kotal Kahn would also probably be almost within throw range as well. I do one more throw, now he's in Fatal Blow range, but just barely. Most opponents would be comfortably within that range, and I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, the Special Forces girls, Sonya, Jackie, and Cassie, would be in serious trouble. Now Shao Kahn can take more punishment on his own, no heals or anything, than any other character in Mortal Kombat 11. Which is how it should have been. Shao Kahn should have had the colossal health pool compared to everybody else. But for some reason they gave that to Kotal. Now for me, I didn't really mind that much because it meant Kotal Kahn was kind of an asshole monster man. But now, it's more in line with lore, and it's just a little bit of love for Shao Kahn. It's not all of the things that he needs, but I mean, it's a pretty good start, in my personal opinion, to finally let Shao Kahn have the most amount of health of any character in the game. The rest of the Kotal Kahn changes are actually custom ability based, except for one, which I'm going to demonstrate right now. And it involves the Yeye Kame Disc Amplify. Now they don't specify which one they're talking about, but I'm presuming they mean this one, because they mentioned that the first hit now has slightly farther reach, so it reaches a little bit further, but the projectile now has 10 less frames of hit advantage out of this. So now it's plus 34, which lines up with the normal projectile, which makes sense because I don't really understand why this ended up having more hit advantage. But now on hit, it's kind of normalized. It makes sense, right? So you can now do on your block pressure, nothing really has changed. It just reaches slightly further. And there's nothing to write home about out of that. The only other change that Kotal Kahn has gotten is that they fixed the weird issue where the blood totem would heal on activation with stacks if you would summon it when you had some blood stored. So they fixed that, and now Chikatok and Itziel totems, that's the stamina and blood totems, no longer have custom variation restrictions in competitive modes. So now you can mix and match any totem that you want in Mortal Kombat 11. Thank you, NetherRealm boys! That is precisely one of the changes that I was going to say should be fixed for Kotal Kahn, but now that it is, I don't have to worry about it anymore. I'm actually going to drop Hui Hui and replace it with the stamina totem now, because now I have both of the totems there, and I can actually use this now, which is basically what I wanted Crush Your Enemy to be. That's what I wanted Crush Your Enemy to be, and now Command Grab is less universal, but it's still around, you know what I mean? Know what I mean? And next up we have another health change, talking about the guest character with the most amount of health in the game. But
RoboCop.
Yes, it's RoboCop. They actually gave RoboCop more health than any other guest character. Spawn is at 1,000, Terminator's at 1,000, the Joker's at 1,000 health. Now Shao Kahn, now Kotal Kahn and RoboCop share the distinction for having the second most health in the game. See, RoboCop now has 1,050 health. Meaning that RoboCop can take a little more punishment than anybody else in the game. Not much more, but a little more, which is always a good thing. Now, the Kung Lao change is relatively simple. A way back kick while having no hat, so the sweep without the hat, this one, apparently will properly trigger a crushing blow reset condition? What? Oh, it must mean for the dive kick. So if you, let's say, if I dive kick, then sweep, now it will reset that crushing blow. That's what that means. So it'll reset the dive kick crushing blow. It used to not be able to. That's very situational, though, because this attack, how many times have you seen this sweep compared to this sweep with the hat? You know what I mean? You almost never see this sweep. Nor do you ever see Kung Lao's normal uppercut without the hat. But it's there. There is one other adjustment for RoboCop, and it isn't a big one, but it is something to keep in mind. His wake-up attack, known as with up and back punch, which I believe is Omni Strike. Yep. This has now had an adjusted hit region, which I believe means, theoretically speaking, it should hit opponents easier. So if I hit him... Yeah, it looks like it has an easier time hitting opponents out of the air, which allows RoboCop to anti-air no problem. And it's just generally a better wake-up. So it's a slightly enhanced wake-up, and RoboCop now has a little more health. And now we gotta talk about Shiva! Shiva Bobiva! Now, I mentioned that this is a relatively mild patch. This isn't an insanely mighty one. So don't expect miracles, my friend.
Rambo.
But we are going to talk about Shiva, because she does have a couple of changes. They are very slight, and they involve her stomp. Shiva's... one of them does actually involve Dragon Stance. So, Dragon Drop is now off-screen for 2 more frames before her drop attack begins. So basically, there is slightly more time where Shiva is in the air. So the startup is now 66 frames instead of 64. At that point, it's not really a whole lot, but maybe it'll help you get just that little extra time to avoid Shiva's stomp. And Shiva's Dragon Stance got a nerf. It now starts up in 22 frames instead of 20 frames. That's it. That's the only change that Dragon Stance got. But this doesn't work anymore as a hit. This still works. This still works. This doesn't work anymore. Hang on. Hang on. This works. So it looks like some of her old conversions, based off of hit animation, no longer connect anymore. So she doesn't connect off of basically everything for guaranteed meterless damage. These options have actually been slightly reduced. She also has to go for, effectively, any option where, if you take a note of how Rambo is hit, where he kind of buckles like that, this can be comboed into if you use the mid version. However, if you don't use the mid version, the knee and the wallops will miss, and she doesn't get as much unbreakable damage anymore, which is very good. So Dragon Stance, still ridiculously good as far as a projectile goes. Still really good on that front. Still 8 frames, still really nice damage, still really crazy good amplifies, good setup situations, what have you. It's just now, the opponent can actually block the Dragon Stance a little bit easier now across most of the options for before. So this is quite a nice, subtle, but good normalization for Dragon Stance Shiva. Next up is Rambo. And the only changes that he really got were adjustments to Lieutenant Drop and basic training. Where is that? There it is. So these attacks, and there is an adjustment to Hidden M60. I'm sorry I didn't mark Dragon Stomp and Dragon Stance. There is one adjustment to Hidden M60, but it's against Chronica. It's against Chronica. It's nothing to write home about. That's it was just playing the wrong animation when he gets hit with the reverse time move. Which it's interesting that they specifically name it. Anyway, Lieutenant Drop now has airborne frames as long as Rambo is off the ground. So, if I were Shiva for a second, and I were to catch Rambo airborne, it now counts as airborne. So, for the longest time, Rambo was not considered airborne there, and I could punish with this and get a combo whenever I want. Now, I have to make do with what I have if this is just catching him in the air with Rambo. And that's basically the only major adjustment that he has with that. Basic training, right here, this swirling mid-back fist here, has had its hit regions and repel regions slightly adjusted. I think to make this a little bit easier to connect in a combo, but I would have to spend a little more time in the lab to be sure. This is just very quick first impressions, see what I can find right off the cuff. The final character that got changes this balance patch is Melina. And don't get too excited, Melina fans.
Melina.
It's nothing to write home about. But I will show it off anyways because this is very important
Melina.
for you guys to know about.
Sindel.
And these adjustments come to Poisonous Butterfly, the hit reactions of Condom Dash Amplify, Condom Dash Further Amplify, and Ridin' Dirty, and Playtime are the strings that have been adjusted. That seems like a lot, but it's really not that much. So I'm going to mark them off real quick. So Poisonous Butterfly, the Ridin' Dirty string, Playtime, towards front punch, back kick. Where's Playtime? There it is. And it was Counter Dash Amplify and Further Amplify. So, dink dink. So those guys, and I believe that is it? Yeah. Okay, so Poisonous Butterfly. Just like Rambo, Melina is now considered airborne if when her feet are off the ground. This is a good thing for Melina because if the opponent catches or trades, she will be knocked down as if she were in the air and already have some juggle states, meaning that the punish won't be as optimal as if the opponent was punishing one of her other attacks. Other attacks that have had this property are Condom Dash Amplify, Condom Dash Further Amplify, and Ridin' Dirty. They all now have airborne properties. So if she somehow were to get intercepted by this by say a very slow-moving projectile, or more of a relevant thing, some sort of Towers of Time consumable, she would be considered airborne. And she would also be considered airborne during Ridin' Dirty, when she is in this stance, when she's already on the opponent. This is considered airborne now, or she is considered airborne. And finally, there's a rare issue with Playtime where certain costumes could have the fog effect linger. And that's it. That is absolutely all of the patches. However, something I have also noticed is that both of the characters that have had this adjustment, namely Melina and Rambo, have a crushing blow off of their forward throw, wherein it triggers after not jumping, being knocked down, or becoming airborne for 10 seconds. Notice those three requirements: no jumping, no being knocked down, and no becoming airborne. So, this forward throw crushing blow is now harder for both Rambo and Melina to get because several of their attacks have them considered airborne. So if you land Poisonous Butterfly, the timer's reset. If you land Riding Dirty, the timer's reset. If you use Condom Dash and amplify it, the timer's reset. At least that's what it seems to be. So it's looking like that the forward throw Crushing Blow is going to be something you're going to have to work a little harder for as a Melina or a Rambo player. Which I'm sure as a Melina or a Rambo player, you're not happy about this change. That's all that has happened to these characters and this patch. Hopefully more changes will come along the way, and that maybe this hint that Kronika's reverse time is partially adjusted means that she might be playable in the future, which I kind of hope she is, because she was one of the characters I was actually most excited to play as back in the day. Sad birthday. Anyhow, don't forget to be awesome, and I'll see you guys on the other side.